Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. This is Dreamcatchers BI. I'm sorry if you guys wasn't able to see me earlier. For those of you who know, I've been dealing with getting some preparations together in light of my mother's upcoming funeral. So today was just making sure everybody get their clothes, their shoes, etc., whatever needed to be done. And then also just taking time to take it all in as well. But I wanted to come within my last few minutes of my show and have a conversation with you guys in regards to the ongoing school fights. Now, I know that you guys been seeing it going viral all over Facebook and whatever, and Snapchat as well. And also, we talked about it last week, but it's not ending. And it's sad to see that I'm not seeing any real action from the schools itself in regards to these ongoing fights. Now, it is an issue, and it's an issue that is becoming a trend. And I told you guys before, in these situations, it's not enough to suspend a child, expel a child, because half of the time that's what they want. They want to get expelled, they want to get suspended so that they could go back to being outside and being idle. Today, I'm out here, I'm at restaurant ice cream with the children. The place is hot. And I just said, let me just take them so they could be able to relax. And it's one of my favorite spots. We've been here in a minute. So I wanted to come and, take it all in. But I really and truly want to speak on this because it's going to extend further than just the high schools. The younger students are going to see these actions and they're going to want to be it, which I've already been seeing happening. You know, they want to go viral, they want to, and then that's another thing. You know, I know that parents want to have contact with their children, but I feel like as if it's necessary to ban all electronic devices from schools because seeing how these children feel so comfortable to pick up their phones and record these fights and instigate the fights, you understand me? It's mind baffling to me. And I think Westgill asked a question, good afternoon. She was like, do you feel as if the children recording should be as well? My honest answer, good afternoon. My honest answer is that yes, I feel like as if they should, you know, whether it's ban them from electronics or show them some form of discipline. You understand me? It's necessary. It's gonna be necessary. Or else they're gonna continue. They're gonna feel like it's okay. And half of the time, like yesterday, for instance, half of these fights are just ridiculous. Yesterday, I watched one where it was an argument about a boyfriend and girlfriend situation. Now, how old are these children? What type of relationships are they having? You understand me? That it could get so deep that they cause such a big fight. You understand me? This is why I tell Ayo it's important to make sure that your children are being children. Proper supervision is necessary. Neglecting children is what's getting us to this point. It's like, I don't neglect my child. Well, there are different forms of neglect. Neglect comes from turning your head at bad behavior, condoning bad behavior, allowing your children to do as they please, go as they please. Look at when it was village time. It wasn't until these teenagers was getting arrested and held, that the parents cared enough to see where their children were going or to monitor them. There were teenagers all through the village without proper supervision. Not because your child is 15 or 16 and they're probably tall as a tree, means that they're not no longer children. They're still children making childlike decisions, you know, having certain doing certain things that are gonna cause them to have consequences. And I mentioned this last week. It's important that we press for our children to be held accountable and also for parents to hold themselves accountable. You know, it's necessary for that school bus incident. I said and I told you guys, those boys who jumped that little boy, as parents, even if the teachers didn't push it that far, I personally, if it was my children, I would have made sure that I took them to YRC. And every weekend after that, until like a whole full month, they would have go to YRC over the weekend. It wouldn't have been no breaks. And I'd have picked them up Sunday night or Sunday afternoon so they could go right back to school. And I wouldn't suspend these children. Suspending them is just gonna lead them to continuously doing this and having this type of behavior. Because half of the time they don't want to go to school. They don't want to go to school. So if they realize I could get suspended, I could get uh, expelled from these type of behaviors, they're gonna get worse. They don't have no respect for authority, and that is because the adults within their lives and around their neighborhoods don't have respect for authority. You know, and I spoke about this the other day when I said there's no more limits or boundaries when it comes to crime here in the Virgin Islands. That should be an issue. We see something happen, and after a day or two, we forget about it. But don't forget that someone was just killed, murdered, right outside of the Superior Court. Don't forget that an officer lost their lives. Don't forget that after the fact, they burnt this officer's house down. There's no respect for authority. And if children are seeing, young people are seeing that adults don't respect authority, they're gonna wonder, why should I? Why should I go to school and listen to my teacher when the the adults around me don't even listen to the police officers? It goes as far as like I said before, you know, the senator said it goes as far as running a red light, nothing being done for that. Driving without a license or simple law breaking issues that does not get addressed. And also the bigger fact of having individuals that are connected. They don't get in problems, they don't get in trouble due to who they know. That needs to be cut out here in the Virgin Islands. And then we're gonna get upset when they start to outsource and bring people who don't have any care for our well-being. You understand me? It's gonna start to have conflicts because, oh, look how they're manhandling these people, look how they're treating us. They don't care about us. Well, when you had individuals that knew you and respected you for being Virgin Islanders, for being black, whatever you want to call it, you didn't respect it. So when you see that they have to outsource, and outsourcing comes with maybe hiring somebody who's a little racial, feels threatened based on your skin tone, who is to blame? Well, who is to blame is the ones that has been continuously disrespecting a lot. Now, I have not yet to seen anybody going within the schools and parents of that. I have not seen any one of you going into the schools or Are you guys having conversations with your children before they go to school? What type of discipline is coming from their actions? There's no way that children should feel so comfortable to act out in such a manner. Because I know when I was going to school, I wouldn't dare get into no trouble unless push come to shove, because I know when I go home, I gotta see my mother face. You know, at a certain point, when I was living with my father, even worse. I don't want to call my mother. I don't want to call my father. Now it's like, I don't care. Call them. Do as you please. Call them. I'm gonna fight to impress. I'm gonna fight to show that I big and I bad, whatever the case may be. And I just want to speak to some of our youths, because I know that a lot of you are on social media. A lot of you listen to the radio, all these different things. It's no point in putting yourself in such a position to get in such dire trouble based on pointless situations. You understand me? Right now is the time to focus on your education. All grades, but high school, yes, because high school is preparing you to go into the real world. You cannot act like this when you go to work. You cannot act like this on your everyday life, because the consequences that you get in school, as far as suspension and expulsion and all these different things, they accumulate more when you get older. When you fight in the street, that turns into assault. You get arrested. If you do it at the place of work, you're gonna get fired, and then it's gonna go on your record. When you try to get another job, they're not gonna want to hire you, because what? This individual is known for having anger issues, bad behavior, fighting on the job. These different things accumulate. You know, the same way how your school work, your grades go on your permanent record for when you're in high school, is the same way when you graduate from high school and you go into the workforce and you go into real life. You get a criminal record. You know, some of you are already getting criminal records before you leave high school, but you understand me? When you go out there, you can't just punch somebody because you don't agree with what they say. You can't just punch somebody because you have an issue with what you have an issue with them. This is why I said it's important for the schools and even for parents to teach their children about conflict resolution, you know, enroll them in anger management classes. Don't wait until you see that their life is at stake or they're one of these individuals that gets killed on the streets to then say you wish you did. Right now is the time to target them, discipline them, mold and teach them. Watch your mind your surroundings. Mind what you expose your children to. Because you can't get upset when you put something in front of them for them to idolize. And then they do just that. They begin to idolize what you promote or what you have exposed them to. Our children are like sponges. You know, they observe and observe everything around them. If they're among individuals who have a certain mind frame in which they're working bodies, educated individuals who have potential, who has a goal, they're gonna set goals. You understand me? They're gonna push themselves to be better so that they could level up and be able to, you know, mirror what they see. Right now, all our children are seeing is violence. And half of the time when I say I can't get vexed with children for showcasing or embodying what they're exposed to. I'm gonna keep stressing it. You understand me? A lot of things need to change. And it needs to start with accountability from our adults, our parents, our guardians. Hold yourself accountable because their actions is a reflection of you or is a reflection of what you allow them to do or who you allow them to be around. Neglect doesn't just mean leaving a child alone by themselves. Neglect is on so many different levels. If you see a child going down a bad road and you say nothing, you're neglecting your child. If if you know, and I said this before, if you see a child come in with a chain or a phone or a pair of shoes that you didn't buy them, and you know they don't have a job, and you say nothing, you're condoning their behavior. You're condoning the fact that they might be out there stealing, robbing. If you don't hold them accountable, if you don't make sure that they are punished in a correct manner, you're condoning their actions. And don't wait until your child starts to become a problem to society to want to address it. Because we tend to see their actions beforehand and we just don't say anything. If you can't deal with them, then reach out. If he too big, he too tall, he scares you now, call the police. Show them that even though I can't handle you, even though you're too much for me to handle, I'm gonna call the police, and you have the right as a parent of a minor to ask the police. I'm not asking you to arrest my child, but I want you to discipline them, you know, and because I'm afraid to. And another thing is this: having um, random searches of your home. You know, we had issues where 15-year-olds were out killing people. We have issues where minors are out there robbing people at gunpoint. How do you have a house that you pay for, but you don't know what's in there? And the thing is, I feel as if a lot of you know what's in your home, you just don't want to address it, or you're comfortable with it. You're comfortable until it backfires on you. It's time for us to stop turning a blind eye, stop stop being comfortable with these activities until it's detrimental, until somebody dies, somebody gets killed, somebody gets arrested, to then think it is a problem. It's been a problem. And you saw it for the first time they asked up from the company in which they kept. Parents make the decisions to save your children, to better mold your children, because sometimes we like to deflect. We like to act as if it's nothing wrong. Or sometimes we're comfortable in those lifestyles. But comfortability is not always a good thing. Being comfortable can sometimes get you killed. And here in the Virgin Islands, it's happening a lot. A lot of our children are desensitized due to the amount of killings that occur here in the Virgin Islands that, first of all, does not get addressed through the justice system. And second of all, they don't get the proper counseling in which they need. Just like, oh, you got a counselor in the school, you got a counselor in the school. Well, guess what? Unless this counselor is going out and reaching out to each one of these children individually and making them comfortable enough to talk, a counselor doesn't mean anything. It starts at home. Parents, if you know that your children are just exposed to constant death and gun violence and violence in a home, and it could even be abuse within the households too. A lot of times these children are angry from something deeper. And I didn't mention that the other day, but I'm glad that it came to me because it's the truth. We have to start to sit back and ask ourselves, what is going on within these children's lives that are causing them to act out in such a manner? Children who tend to get abused, molested, raped, all these different things, there's only two, well, three or more different type of reactions. You have children who suppress everything and don't say anything. You have children who lash out, who just go buck wild crazy. It's a cry for help. But who are they crying to? Who is coming to them and saying that I see you? And I mentioned to you guys on several occasions, I don't believe in labeling children because they're just that, they're children. They can be changed, they can be molded, shaped. You know, we need to have more boot camps. We need to have our community centers reopened. We need to allow our children to be able to be children, be exposed to childlike activities, give them incentives, things to do. They shouldn't be so bottled up. And on top of that, we need to start to address the issues. Right now, Complex was supposed to have a mandatory meeting, conference with all the parents and students, seeing the uprising of territory. Just that's how I feel. I feel that's something that's necessary. I feel like as if they need to put up I feel like as if it's necessary to make sure that the parents are on the same level and understand the severity of what's happening in the schools. There needs to be some form of addressing. And I haven't seen it yet. Having single meetings is not doing anything. Bring all the parents together. And I know for a fact that it didn't happen because I'm now a parent of a complex, as you call them, a barracuda. You understand? Nothing else came out. Only thing I saw today was the counselor sent out a letter, you know, just addressing that she's a counselor, bam, 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 whatever. But there should be a mandatory meeting with all the parents of the students within the complex, educational complex, addressing the issues, addressing the fact that there's a no tolerance for these type of behaviors, highlighting what they're gonna do about these type of behaviors, so that the students could see the Department of Education is not playing, and the parents could understand the severity of their children's actions. And also, parents of other students could be able to speak to their children and prevent anything else from happening. That's just how I feel. You know, I think we need another Scared Straight program. Honestly, when it comes to a Scared Straight program, you know, taking them to the prisons isn't enough. Me, what I've done with my sons, and you guys could feel how you want, but I feel it was unnecessary. They already saw how it looks inside the correctional facility. They already know how hard it is in there. But unless you're a murderer and all these different things, jail is not permanent. And even in jail, you still have life. So here in the Virgin Islands, I took my sons when they reach a certain age to the graveyard in Kingston, you know, and I took them there and I walked through and I showed them the ages of the individuals that were buried there, compared the comparison of these natural causes to uh, this is why, and after I did so, it was important to do it because after doing so, they had a lot of questions. It's like, what happened to them? They're so young. It started to roll in their head like, and I explained to them, sometimes it's a lifestyle that you choose. It's your company that you keep. At times it's being in the wrong place at the wrong time. I explained to them it's the importance of knowing about conflict resolution, understanding that it's okay to walk away, to put your pride aside. Of course, our young children, they got a lot of hormones. They're expressing themselves as young men. And, the only way they know to do so, even though they might have a little dialogue in the beginning, but once they get enraged and angry, they don't know what to do then. Once that momentum builds up and they just start to get overwhelmed, they just react. And I said this, and I'm going to close with this. Our high schools have 4 classes, right? They leave school early. It would be nothing to add an extra class, a mandatory class for every student, whether it's 30 minutes, however long the class be, with anger management, behavioral programs, conflict resolution, proper sportsmanship, teaching our children how to act and react. And I also said this, right? It's important because during evolution, during the time of growth within the human race, we all realized that we needed to learn how to read, write, do mathematics, and other things, basic skills, in order to survive in society. Well, now, here and now, in the Virgin Islands, I can't speak for anywhere else in the world. Here in the Virgin Islands, a basic skill to survive is to learn to manage your anger, having conflict resolution, teaching our children how to act and react, having behavioral programs, because it is a part of survival now. Excuse me. It is a part of survival now. Without these basic skills, we're going to continue to lose children to the streets. So I want to thank you guys once again. You know, I'm out here. I'm starting high school today. I I'm preparing for my mom's funeral next week. I will not be live because next week is my mother's funeral on Friday, and I'm just taking it all in. It's really rough for me right now. It's a lot. Yesterday was my mother's birthday, and I want to wish her a happy birthday here on the radio. And I want to thank everybody via social media and everybody that called me that wished her a happy birthday. I want to say thank you so much. You know, it meant a lot to me. It took a lot for me to get out of my bed yesterday, and these days I've been seeing it happening over and over again. And I'm trying not to allow depression to hold me down or to make me shut down altogether. You know, that's why I said, even though I was busy earlier today, I'm going to give you guys at least 30 to 40 minutes of my time. You know, and it's because I can. It's because I love the people of the Virgin Islands. I love the youth of the Virgin Islands, you know, me, and I want to see better. You know, I want to see better, and I think that you guys are capable of being better. You know, we need to tell our children, we need to tell our youths them that we love them, that we see them, that we appreciate them, and also motivate them. You know, letting them know what they're capable of, who they're capable of being. You know, pushing that narrative, asking them how they feel, what's wrong, are you okay? Because a lot of times our children are holding in so much. And the only time they can express it is in those moments of rage and anger. And also, there needs to be a zero tolerance for violence, period, within our school zones. They're there to learn. And if they rather, you could give me a second, you know, so just want to make sure that we do so. We address our children, we give them love and also respect as well. You know, it's necessary to acknowledge that our children are human beings and that they have emotions too. And when something affects you, it also affects them. And also, you know, we had this controversy with, you know, people getting upset because of the decisions made based on the incident with the 4-year-old child. I feel it's necessary to be an example to everyone else in regards to understanding that there's a need for gun safety. You know, negligence is not going to be accepted. You understand me? And that was a child that lost their life, a child with much potential, a child that had so much more to live for. I feel for the mother, you know, and this is why I said it's important before people speak on certain situations to get a full dialogue of the situation before we start pointing fingers because you don't know who's affected and how it affected them. I know just losing that child was a lot, enough punishment, but in order for individuals to see the seriousness behind of it, because in reality, here in the Virgin Islands, I have heard children mention over and over again, my uncle, my auntie, my father that have his gone out here, I don't see it. I don't hear children getting in a fight in the neighborhood and be like, I'm going home for my father gun. I know, but keep it to shoot you. So prevention is necessary. Gun safety is necessary, whether it's legal or illegal. Because as you can see, there are consequences, accident or not. That's what y'all should be taking from this. They don't need for no name calling. Take and spread the word. Gun safety is necessary. Attention to your children is necessary. Don't wait until there's a situation such as that to care. And I hope the entire Virgin Islands learns from this. I love Ayo. I'm not going to be seeing her next week. Like I said, I'm going to be dealing with my mom's funeral and just spending time with family and friends. For those of you who are families, it's August 28th over at the Altona Baptist Church from 9 a.m. Thank you all for your condolences. Thank you all for just being here for me and understanding that this ain't it's a rough time and it's only beginning now. There's moments where I'm on the road and I do certain things and I just can't wait to call my mom and I can't do it anymore. So for those of you who have your mom here with you still, mother, father, grandmother, whatever the case may be, I tell you cherish them. Give them their flowers as they live. Don't wait until they're gone to then load up a tombstone that they can't even enjoy it. I used to take my mom flowers after when I go on drives with her. We used to go pick flowers. I used to buy her flowers. I used to take her on drives. We used to go and eat or relax together. And I feel content with that, but I also miss that. So cherish life as life is within your reach. Because once it leaves, there ain't no coming back. It's an emptiness that's hard to be filled, especially when you lose a parent. You know, like that. It hurt me to lose my grandmother, even though my grandmother lived 90 years or 92 years. But losing my mother so quickly, so swiftly, was worse. You know what I'm saying? I love Ayo. I appreciate Ayo. Big up to Josh and the entire WSTX team. And I just want to leave with this. It's embarrassing for certain individuals to take their platform, to use it as a form, as a way to uh, degrade individuals here in the community, especially our young men in the community. It is sad to see that when people choose to have a successful life and work really hard to do so, and continue to work hard to do so, seeing that there's already a stereotype, seeing already that there's a hardship within this environment for our young men, it's shameful to see that people with a certain position, platforms, would take that platform to try to discredit and to say things that could ruin somebody's life. I'm not going to speak too much on it, but that's my thoughts. That's my opinion. You understand me? And I'll be mindful and be careful because who you talk about, trust and believe me, they have people behind them. And before you speak on somebody's life, make sure you have the facts. Make sure that you know what really happened. Stop seeking attention. Stop being little childish individuals that need somebody to listen to you. So you come up with the next best melody. It's embarrassing. And for people that's older than me, I feel like as if you should know better. Instead of degrading our young men, we need to start uplifting them because you quick and fast to label the men on the block, the men with the guns, the men shooting up the place. Now you gonna attack the ones them that did everything right, that is doing everything right, that has so much going for themselves. Well, God don't sleep, and He don't like ugly neither. And it's hard when you have an ugly inside, when you're ugly inside and outside. My opinion. Who the cap fit? Let them wear it. With that dial, I guarantee. Because my pina colada turning into a slushy, and you know, I like it like that. Hmm? I want to eat ice cream. Love Ayo. See Ayo not next week, but a week after that. I'm big up the Ninja P over there at 100.3 FM. Irie. Yes, Ayo. Have a blessed day.